Edition.
Knicks Daily Edition, baby. When Mikal Bridges arrived in Brooklyn, it wasn't supposed to be like this, okay? He had just been traded in the middle of his best season, but he was ripped away from that sunny promise of Phoenix to become the centerpiece of a Nets team that was searching for its identity after Kevin Durant. But just across the East River, something brighter, far more familiar, was building. In Manhattan, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, later on Dante DiVincenzo, they were laughing, they were winning, they were reliving their Villanova glory days under the Garden Lights. They were the NBA version of SpongeBob and Patrick, bounding around in Bikini Bottom, carefree and in sync. Meanwhile, Mikal Bridges was on the other side of the bridge, in a quiet Barclays locker room. He looked out of the window like Squidward. His arms were crossed, his face was pressed to the glass. NBA Twitter ran with that meme. Fans and analysts alike joked that every time the Knicks had a big win, Mikal's smile dimmed just a little bit more. He played well in Brooklyn, though. The man put up numbers. He even led, but it always felt like he was performing a solo act while the true band played at MSG. And then the rumors started to swirl. They swirled constantly. The Villanova boys want him. Brunson won't shut up about him behind closed doors. He looked miserable in Nets black. And then, on a random summer day, the buzz turned into sirens. Mikal Bridges was headed to the New York Knicks. And what was his reaction? It was actually quiet at first. Then he had a grin, then a laugh, and then a tweet at the Statue of Liberty. Now he's home, not in geography, but in spirit. Mikal Bridges doesn't need to be the number one option on this Knicks team. He needs to be what he was always built to be: a defensive menace, a versatile scorer, a playoff killer. And more importantly, the missing piece in a chemistry experiment that already borders on what we've seen as magical. With Brunson orchestrating, Hart hustling, Towns stretching the floor, OG Anunoby locking down, Bridges fits. He fits in like a final piece to the puzzle. No more looking out the window. Mikal's in the backyard now. And he's bringing that energy of a man who watched his friends win and finally got to join them. So is it his time now? He's not watching. He's ready to dance. Dance he did. Mikal showed up in the playoffs defensively in this stretch. Major impact on us. We made the Eastern Finals. Now we got to ask ourselves, should he receive an OG level extension from us? And that's where we are. So here's the argument for him receiving that extension. The man is a two-way star. In the playoffs, Bridges emerged as a lockdown defender with game-saving plays, a steal off of Jaylen Brown, blocks on Jason Tatum, and that helped push us past Boston. He's been described as a playoff superstar, not for scoring, but for the defensive impact that turns the tide in tight games. Next up, he's an Iron Man. That man got that Iron Man durability. He's never missed a professional game, and he's led the league in total minutes this season. You can't ignore that. For Tom Thibodeau, that reliability was gold. And then he's part of the core of a contending roster. The Knicks invested heavily in him. Capital, salary space. It is signaled that he was central to their vision. He's currently the only starter who's signed past 2027. So extending him would help maintain continuity with Brunson, Towns, and Anunoby. But then there's the market inefficiency. Bridges' value, is less scoring than more so two-way, and his skill set won't command the max, but is indispensable. So a 4-year extension of $156 million would secure him the max, but it will also provide flexibility and loyalty if he does now. Now, if we give him a big ticket extension, what are the cons to it? Shot reliability. It dipped early after he arrived here in New York. And though he improved, he is far from an all-star scorer. Second, high acquisition cost caps. Knicks gave up 5 first-rounders, took on OG Anunoby's massive contract before signing Bridges. So committing $150 million plus to a 29-year-old wing limits financial maneuverability, especially if the payoff falls short. And next, he's still unproven in full workload. He's flourished as a third or fourth option, but he struggles when asked to be a primary option, as seen in Brooklyn or early Knicks usage. And it's a big deal. A big deal may misalign with his ceiling. Excellent role player, not a franchise cornerstone. But we also risk regression. Defense is physically taxing. Even Iron Man can slow down. His playoff bursts, while spectacular, it might fade. And if his shooting remains streaky, he may drag offensive spacing when the game demands it. So should we extend or not? I think a max-ish OG level extension, it makes strong sense if the Knicks buy into the bridge between top-tier stars and deep run defense. Bridges' matchup switching effort and Iron Man toughness are rare and invaluable in playoff basketball. We saw that. So a 4-year deal of 150 to 160, it secures us and helps maintain our defensive identity. On the flip side, committing that much money to a non-all-star scorer with limited offensive upside, it risks financial rigidity and roster imbalance. His peak value fits better as a controllable, high-impact role player versus a maxed-out starter. All right? So context ultimately matters. If New York is going to prioritize defensive culture and continuity with this new coach coming in, playoff toughness, bridge, the extension is warranted. If flexibility and cap space for potential upgrades or financial prudence are top priorities, delaying or signing for under the max based on bird rights could be smarter. Ultimately, Bridges has earned the right to be discussed at OG level extensions. Okay? But whether the Knicks should sign off depends on whether they see him as a foundational piece or a supreme role player, or whether or not it would prohibit them from pursuing a player in free agency or through trade like Giannis Antetokounmpo. What say you? Keep this in mind. Same thing applies to life. That applies to our team. If there is no struggle, there's no progress. But remember this, whether it's out there in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here in Knicks Deli, everybody eats. I'm your boy Shit, and I'm out. Peace.